Internationally, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's been facing pressure over the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. At home, he's struggling to boost the economy in the face of weak oil prices. Now, bin Salman is on a charm offensive across Asia, which he hopes will help on both counts. And Riyadh's counting on its oil reserves to fuel this drive. The state-owned oil company Saudi Aramco is investing in new refineries in the region.
India is an investment priority for Saudi Aramco. India takes from us almost 800,000 barrels a day. India consumes 4.8 million barrels a day, and by 2040, India total consumption will be around 8.2 million barrels per day.
Aramco has agreed to build a petrochemical complex in China's northeastern province of Liaoning. It's investing $44 billion in a similar plant in India and another $10 billion for a refinery in Pakistan's western province of Balochistan. But Riyadh needs to diversify its economy beyond oil, and Beijing says joining the Belt and Road Initiative could help.
China is glad to see Pakistan develop friendly exchanges and cooperation with other countries, including Saudi Arabia. We welcome third parties to join the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which will not only benefit China and Pakistan, but also the region.
Deals worth more than $120 billion have been announced during bin Salman's tour of Asia. Since these are mostly non-binding agreements, the money doesn't have to be put up just yet. But the Crown Prince has cashed in on the opportunity to shift the focus back to his economic agenda. Mubin Nasir, TRT World.
And Mobin joins me in the studio now for more on this. Hi Mobin, another day, another multi-billion-dollar deal. Tell us more about this joint venture between Aramco and China that's worth $10 billion.
So this refinery is supposed to be completed by 2024. It's expected to have a capacity of about 300,000 barrels per day. As part of this deal, Saudi Arabia is also investing in some other existing infrastructure, which they are hoping to then expand and hence build into a larger chemical complex in the northeast region of the country. Interestingly, the best sort of part of this deal for Saudi Arabia, of course, is that 70%, at least 70% of the feedstock for this will come from Saudi Arabia. So again, as we were discussing earlier in the week, a handcuff, so to speak, that ensures that a certain minimum amount of Saudi oil continues to flow to China, where, of course, the Saudis have lost the top spot as the biggest seller 3 years back. As you know, Russia has been the biggest seller of oil to China over the past 3 years. So again, this project should help Saudi Arabia, if not regain that spot, at least increase its sales to China significantly.
Interesting, so a smart way to further lock in a customer. As you mentioned in your package as well, there was talk of Saudi Arabia joining China's huge Belt and Road Initiative. Tell us more about that. How do both countries hope to gain from it?
Well, where do we begin? Look, of course, we talk a lot about Saudi oil, right? But what are some of the other biggest companies in Saudi Arabia? The construction companies, the likes of Al Raji, Bin Laden Group. And a lot of these companies have been relying, especially of late, on government-funded projects inside the kingdom. And of course, that's not always been going so well. Case in point, the Riyadh Financial District. And of course, these projects then allow these large Saudi companies that have the scale to chase after the other projects. And as you know, most of those projects, be they in Pakistan, be they in Sri Lanka, these are projects where the local governments have given guaranteed returns. So whether they are going to be investing directly or through the different development banks that China has set up, this could essentially mean more business, not just for those large companies that have a lot of excess capacity, but also guaranteed returns, which of course are gold at such an uncertain sort of time in the global economy.
So do you think it could tie in well with Saudi Arabia's so-called Vision 2030, which, as we know, suffered a huge setback in the wake of the killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi?
And not only that, we've been seeing delays on that front for over a year, right? We've been reporting on it consistently that it's a grand plan, but on the ground it hasn't really taken off. And again, that demand cannot solely come from the government. If the government has to spend all of its money to generate that demand, it's not really diversifying the economy. Also, I think we need to pay attention to the pivot that's taking place from Saudi Arabia overall. Last year, the king visited China while the crown prince was in Washington. So certainly, it's taking place, and it's taking place for a number of reasons, not just to have a stronger diplomatic presence in Asia, but also these are the economies that are likely going to drive growth over the next few decades. So certainly a very good time for Saudi Arabia to get in on those projects and also into certain industries. We talk a lot about Aramco and other large companies. We seldom talk about the likes of SoftBank, where Saudi Arabia has invested, and those are the sort of funds that are looking into emerging economies, into high-tech sector, into renewable energy. So certainly this is Saudi Arabia's inroads into those emerging markets.
Okay, Mobin, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you again for your analysis.